There are a lot of different ways you can light a portrait, but most of them start with understanding a few basic lighting patterns. Now, in this series, I'm breaking down the most common portrait lighting patterns and showing you how to create each one, what it does to the face, and when you might want to use it. Now, there are three main areas that I personally like to put portrait lighting into: facial lighting patterns, lighting direction or lighting technique, and secondary lighting or auxiliary lighting. Now, each one gives you a different way to control the light, shape the face, and create a specific look. Now, Rembrandt lighting is probably one of the most recognizable light patterns when it comes to portrait lighting, and it's very distinguishable by the triangle of light on the subject's face. Now, Rembrandt was created by a painter way back in the day by the name of Rembrandt, and it is a very timeless look, but it also has a little bit of drama depending upon what size modifier you are using. So with that being said, let's jump right in and let me show you how to set it up and then give you some examples of what it looks like when you use different modifiers to create this light pattern. Okay, so for your Rembrandt lighting, your Rembrandt is when you typically hear of the 45-degree off camera axis and then angled 45 degrees down. That is where you really get your Rembrandt lighting. And as I had mentioned, the signature series of your Rembrandt lighting is going to be this triangle of light underneath the face right there. Now, there are some purists that say the width of the triangle should not exceed the width of the eye. I personally have never adhered to that. I don't think it's that serious, and depending on your modifier and what look you're trying to get, it could be very shadow heavy if you try to adhere to that rule. So I've never personally really done that. The most important thing is the triangle, and you just want to make sure that, number one, the triangle connects. And you want to make sure that the triangle isn't too high up. So you want to make sure, it's okay to be kind of above the eyelash area here. But once you start approaching the eyebrow, you want to make sure that light's not too high up. So if it is, you simply just need to adjust your light up or adjust the angle to be able to get that triangle how you want it to be. So you can see as I move this light up and down, you can see how that's affecting the triangle. If I move it over this way, you can see we lose that, which we start going into loop lighting, which I'll have a video on. So it really is that simple. You just want to have it 45 degree off axis, 45 degree angle down, and that's how you get your Rembrandt lighting. Now, Rembrandt lighting is where things start getting a little more dramatic. You're getting that little triangle of light underneath the eye on the shadow side of the face, and that immediately gives the portrait a different feeling. Now, I might use this for an actor, a musician, an editorial portrait, or just anything where I want the image to have a little more mood behind it. It can make a portrait feel, dare I say, cinematic without having to do anything crazy with the lighting. Now, the downside is it can be a little much for certain situations. If you're taking somebody's professional headshot and they need to look open and approachable, Rembrandt is not going to be the way to go. Something else to keep in mind is that Rembrandt lighting is heavily dependent on shadows. So the bigger your light source, the less defined shadows you're going to have, but you still can have Rembrandt even if that triangle isn't very distinctly visible.